Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
Fool. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It's April 1st, 2025. It's April Fool Day because we've got a candidate for the Fool of the Year. I could nominate the entire Braves offense after their 0-5 start. Not exactly the perfect way to start a season. No time to panic yet. Their offense looks anemic, and now they'll be without their leadoff hitter. Their free agent signing of last offseason, this offseason, $42 million over 3 years to Jurickson Profar. And here we are, not even in April, when word comes out that a major part of a major team has tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs and banned substances, violating the rules. And we know what that means. 80 games. When you are a first offender, you get suspended for half the season immediately. Here's how it works. Jurickson Profar is in the offseason, negotiating, trying to figure out where he's going to play. May or may not decide to do something nefarious, may or may not know exactly what he's doing. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to be calm here on April Fool Day. I'm going to try to give Jurickson Profar the benefit of the doubt for the first minute, and then you'll see how I come around to maybe having him lose every benefit and having there be no doubt. So the theory is that you get drug tested. There's random tests throughout the season. There's random tests throughout the offseason. Yes, that can happen too. When you are tested, you submit, and then there's silence. The team gets a list during the season and during the offseason of players that are going to be tested, but they don't get the list in time to warn the player. Teams can't in any way substitute urine, blood, any bodily fluid. When there's a positive test, there's an entire protocol that happens between the union and the league. This is fully collectively bargained. And guess what the teams know? Nothing. You can be the president of a team, the GM of a team, the owner of a team. You could be negotiating with the free agent. The league and the union know that this free agent has tested positive, and you don't get to know it. The player has the right to appeal. There's another test, an appeal. Then there's a decision. In most cases, during the offseason, the decision comes after the player has signed. Sometimes during the season, when you're doing in-season negotiations with the player, when you extend a player. The league and the union know, you don't. What about that is actually fair that Alex Anthopoulos, the president of baseball ops for the Braves, is going through negotiations with Profar and his agent? There is a positive test, and the Braves go ahead and sign him, and then Profar gets suspended 5 days into the season. I'm just curious if anyone out there finds this to be compelling as a process. When we had a positive test for steroids for a player who had recently signed a long-term deal, I had one question for the commissioner. Can we terminate the contract? And the answer was no. I was asked, why can we not negotiate in the collective bargaining agreement the ability to terminate guaranteed contracts upon positive testing for PEDs. And my answer was the union would not allow it, as much as they have a huge constituency who wants to legislate out steroid users because it moves money to people who don't deserve it that could otherwise go to honest actors. The union said, we won't allow it because if we've got an underperforming player who's getting paid tons of guaranteed money, then the team would be incentivized to spike the drink, the food, the urine, the banana, the uniform with illegal substances, thereby causing a positive test so they could terminate the contract and get out from under a bad deal. I heard it. Interesting. My response to the union was this: that's against the law. So if you can prove that, then not only will you get your guaranteed contract, but you're going to get damages as well. And if there's a team out there or a GM or a president who is a criminal, let's catch the criminal. But let's not make the behavior of the innocent suffer because of the action of one of the members of the class. It makes no sense that if you have one GM or team president over the course of 50 years who would spike the drink or somehow insert a needle. Here's the funny part. The majority of the PEDs, forget the fact that it's over-the-counter medicine for diarrhea. The majority of the positive tests are when you stick a needle in your bum. It's true. We could say to the player, I'm telling you, we're about to give you B12. Look, we're unwrapping it. Here it is. It's B12. Wink, wink. You're hitting 110. We've got another 5 years, $25 million a year. We took the B12 out. We inserted steroids, and now we're popping it in your bum. I guess that is absolutely accurate. The union should be very afraid of that because that's going to happen all the time. Was more than happy and remain more than happy to have a system where we have to independently verify. We have to videotape everything that we do with players. I'm happy to put cameras everywhere. Don't care. I'm happy to do anything in order to assuage the union of its concerns that one of the 30 people in baseball, or 3 people per team, 90 people. Well, if you're the Dodgers, you've got 90 of your own. So whatever number you want to choose, I'm ready to put cameras in to confirm that we will all not do that in order to have the right to look at Jurickson Profar and say, excuse me, we're going to take away your $42 million right now. Because right now, there is payment going to him year after year. But he had a statement. That's very nice. I was thrilled to read the Profar statement. Very well workshopped by his agent and by the union, because today is the most difficult day of my baseball career. I'm devastated to announce that I've been suspended for 80 games for testing positive for a banned substance this offseason. He then said that this is painful for me because I am deeply passionate about the game. Give me a break. There's nothing I love more than competing with my teammates and being a fan favorite. Give me a break. I don't care. Let's get to it. Did you do it? Did you not do it? Are you going to go the way of the honest approach? Or are you going to say, I have no idea how this could have happened? And here it is. It is because of my deep love and respect for this game that I would never knowingly do anything to cheat it. Let's take that off the screen right now, Coco, so I can explain to people watching, and I can look right in the camera and say, the agent and the union put this as part of every statement as though you are stupid, as though you, the fans, will not look at that statement and say, you would never knowingly do anything to cheat it. Well, never say never. And so your position is that you took one of these supplements, you took one of these pills, you got injected by a needle in your derriere, but you did not take the time to learn what the ingredients were, given the fact that year after year, Player after player has used the same excuse. Wouldn't it occur to you and your representatives and any of your friends to say, hey, Mr. Profar, why don't we not put that in our body until we get it approved by the team? We have a simple rule with our players. Don't put anything in your body that we don't give you. Because guess what the rule is? If we give it to you and you test positive because of what we give it to you, you're good. Because we're not allowed to give you anything that would test positive. We get a list of approved things that we can give players. Our training room is a laboratory of perfect. These players, my body is my temple. I respect the game. I respect my body. It's the instrument I use to make a living. Oh, hey, can I get that little bottle of something right behind the counter? Yeah, don't worry about the ingredients. Oh, there's no label? Yeah, but oh, you say it helps me because I got a little pain in my wrist? I'll take it. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Every player knows. I don't care if the player doesn't speak English, doesn't have his own interpreter. Every player knows the rule. Call the team. Do you know that we employ on our team in our minor league system? No matter what nationality of player we have, there is someone who speaks that language. I don't care what it is. You come in with the Japanese player, we've got someone in our organization that speaks Japanese. We have someone who speaks Korean. We have someone who speaks English, Spanish, French, Creole. Name the language, except Latin. I drew the line at paying 50 grand to hire a guy who could talk about res ipsa liquidor. Don't need it. Don't give me the excuse that I had no one to call. I couldn't communicate. I totally misunderstood. Do you know that Profar now can't play in the postseason? He's useless to the Braves. He's going to come back at the beginning of July, have 80 games left. You want to know why I'm furious? I'm furious because explain to me the timing of this. Did you by chance do anything and then sign a contract? I'm just curious because that sounds to me like fraudulent inducement to enter into a contract. And I went to baseball. I went to lawyers. I wanted to do it. I wanted to bring a cause of action against a player saying that we were fraudulently induced to enter into a contract with that player, thinking that that player was good when in fact that player was on drugs. Didn't happen. Rafael Devers had a bad game yesterday. Alert the media. I'm going to talk about Coca. I don't know if I should do this. I have a friend. His name is Will, and he's a former player in Major League Baseball, an unbelievable prospect. We all know our fan base, nothing personally. You know Will Middlebrooks. He is building and has a great broadcast career, CBS Sports HQ. He's doing play-by-analyst work for the Red Sox. And we were talking about Devers yesterday. We were talking about Garrett Crochet yesterday. And I can tell you, John Henry and Tom Warner, one thing. Will Middlebrooks is loyal to you. He didn't say one word to me about the Garrett Crochet deal, and I bet you he knew. Number two, when talking about Devers, he said, David, I'm telling you, don't you worry. And I get it. He had 3 more strikeouts yesterday. He's now struck out 15 times in 5 games. It's not easy to do. He's 0 for 19 this year. Not easy to do. Completely out of shape. Completely not ready for the season to start. Upset that Bregman got signed. All the storylines. The Red Sox haven't started well. I think they're 1-4, Coca. And the conversation that we were having is, what do you do with Devers now? And the answer I was given by Will, hey, you play him. I said to Will, I'm sorry. Why wouldn't I sit him right now? Like, give him a day. The Red Sox have an off day in Baltimore right now. If I am the Red Sox brass, I'm going to the team hotel. I'm bringing crab cakes to Mr. Devers. I'm bringing Dennis Haysbert, and I'm going to say, hey, why don't we do a ceremony? And why don't we bring in Joe Boo? And why don't we get rid of your bats and let's start all over? Your opening day, Mr. Devers, is this coming Thursday. We were a week off. The rest of us started last Thursday. You're starting this Thursday. Take Tuesday, which is the day off for the team. Take Wednesday off. Come back Thursday ready to roll. We'll start completely over. And Will's point was, yeah, but you got to keep playing him. It's early. Don't panic. And I said, yeah, I tell my audience that. I agree. But man, Devers looks bad. So I'm willing to double down on my point of view, even though Will has inside information. So I should probably listen to Will when he tells me, hey, Devers is going to play. I'm just telling you, as an executive, what I would do and what I would be saying to my manager is, Devers is not in the lineup Thursday. We're going to give him 2 days. Normally, when there's an off day and a slumping player, you give the player the day off before the off day. And you have the player, you walk in the player to the office, you say, hey, Chachi, we're going to give you a blow, 2 days. You're not going to play today. Don't even put your spikes on. Wear your sneaks in the dugout. No pinch hitting, no pinch running, no problem. And you got the off day tomorrow. That's 2 straight days. Come back ready to go the day after. Normally, you'd say that Devers wouldn't have played yesterday after he had 12K. But at 12K, you're thinking, bad, not terrible. The risk is when you bring a player back to play and don't let him sit, is he ends up with 15K. Now, if you play him Thursday, he could have 18K. If you sit him Thursday, he's got 2 days. If you sit him Wednesday, he's got 2 days and let him play Thursday. So wait to see. When we tell you something's going to happen, if it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. We'll revisit it. They're all available on davidsamsonpodcast.com. Wait to see. Devers will get Wednesday off. So obviously Thursday, April 3rd, I'll let you know whether or not that happened. Just like I'm letting you know now, we had to wait to see on December 12th of 2024 that Garrett Crochet would not be extended by the Red Sox this season. Well, that was a wait to see, and that's a big fat no. What in the name of Robert Reed is going on here? Garrett Crochet last night agreed with the Red Sox to a 6-year, $170 million contract extension. It is the largest deal ever for a pitcher with 4 years of service. This deal was agreed to after Crochet last season with the White Sox told all of us, no thanks. Don't trade for me if you're a contender because I'm not pitching in October without an extension. This is the Garrett Crochet who said, don't trade for me and think I'm going to go into the bullpen. I'm a starter. Meanwhile, he had been a reliever. Meanwhile, he had Tommy John. Meanwhile, last year was his first full year starting. But listen, this guy is Cy frickin' Young. Garrett Crochet comes to Boston in a great trade. I have him as the ace of the staff. I do a season preview telling you that he's going to lead this team to the World Series. But I still told you that he would not get an extension. I had him winning the Cy Young Award, but still told you he would not get an extension. Why? Because why is it, even when a pitcher's great in the clubhouse, and you think that he's just immature and that what he said with the White Sox was him wanting to get out of Chicago, but of course everything he said totally quashed his trade market, why would you extend that player without that player showing you something over a full season? He pitched 5 2/3 to start the season. Do you think the Red Sox brass, do you think Craig Breslow, who I know very well, brilliant guy, do you think that he called up Sam Kennedy, the president, John Henry, Tom Warner, the owners, and said, hey, I don't know if you noticed that, but those first 5 2/3 innings, those were unbelievable. What command, what pitchability, what stuff. We would be idiotic not to sign him long-term. Those 5 2/3, man, I'm sending you the capsulated video. Give me a break, would you? One start of 5 2/3 and all of a sudden, or better yet, was this a negotiation that's been going on since they traded for him? And now Crochet finally agreed to 170? Were the Red Sox originally offering like nothing, maybe 80, 90, $100 million? Why break the bank? And Crochet was like, well, I think I should be at 300. I'm Yamamoto, for crying out loud. Well, not exactly. You don't have the service time. You're not a free agent. You're in arbitration. You're making $3.8 million this year. He's eligible for arbitration next season again. If he wins the Cy Young, he has the season of his life. What does he go to? 10? As the first year of 170 over 6? That leaves you 160 over 5. That means you're paying him $30 million a year as a last time arbitration eligible and then a free agent. Boy, you better be sure as heck fire that you found a way to sign a long-term deal to a kid who's going to give you 6 years of greatness. Wouldn't it be better to pay for a player who's done it consistently instead of a guy who's done it for a year plus 5 2/3 of the next year? No, but David, you're missing it. You're missing it. That's what the Red Sox would say. You don't get it. You're not analytical enough. Don't worry that the commissioner shows me every long-term deal that doesn't work. Don't worry that everybody else gets it wrong. We're the Red Sox. We fire everybody. We do everything through analytics. And what our analytics tells us is this guy won't get hurt again. Good luck. That wasn't even the craziest thing that happened yesterday. The crazy thing yesterday was watching the A's get absolutely pummeled by the Cubs 18-3 in their home opener in Sacramento. But I was watching the game not to see that it was a sellout, because it's pretty funny that Tampa and Sacramento can keep announcing sellouts. It made me feel like that I should consider building Marlins Park with the capacity of 11,000. MLB and the union never would have allowed it, but clearly I would have announced sellouts every game, even though the Marlins to this day get under 10,000, so it wouldn't be a sellout. But still, is it that big an accomplishment? You're supposed to sell over 10,000, 11,000 seats. But anyway, I don't want to yuck on Sacramento or a yuck on the Avs. I don't want to do any of that. I want to just talk about a couple things that are happening that are real. It is a minor league ballpark. It's not even a major league spring training facility. It is a minor league ballpark where a ton of money was put in, but you can't make a minor league ballpark a major league ballpark in an off-season of renovations. You can't dig in the ground and do a clubhouse behind the dugouts. There's just no time, no money, no reason. Do you know where the clubhouses are? The home team has to walk down the left field line to get to its clubhouse, which is better than the visiting team who has to actually walk through the center field gate. Don't worry about the press. They're taken care of. I don't know if we have a picture of it for the people watching Nothing Personal with David Sampson live on YouTube or on the DraftKings network. If you're listening to this, I'm looking at a tarped shed. It looks like something that was built without a permit. It's a little building where the press gets to do its work, because after the game, the manager and the star of the game get to go and sit in front of a microphone on a dais. I'd rather do a scrum in my non-manager's office than schlep to that little shack. It doesn't look good enough to be Major League, and I want to explain why I'm critical of this. I went to Fort Bragg for a game. I've been to many special games, lucky in my career, and baseball does an incredible job of making temporary facilities, of making them really, really nice, of making the players and the executives and the manager feel at home, even though you know it's not your permanent place. You're there for an exhibition game. You're there for a series. When you know you're facing 81 large and you've got those type of facilities, and the A's have done everything they could. They released pictures of the great clubhouse. It looked like a staged clubhouse. They had beautiful looking apples and bananas, not one brown dot. I don't know if you have that picture, Coca, and I didn't ask you to do it, so you don't, and I'm sorry. The picture looks like a commercial for Big Macs that you know is not an actual Big Mac. Been in enough clubhouses to tell you I've never seen a stack of bananas without a brown dot, or a bowl of apples that are so perfectly ripe that it makes you think to yourself, wow, is that Cezanne? I'm pretty interested here how it's all going to go down in Sacramento. And if you have 3 years, did you get it, Coca? You got it? Can you zoom in on the bananas? I don't have my glasses on. And people who are listening to this, you don't know, but we're showing the inside of a makeshift clubhouse. And yes, it looks nice. It looks like one of those things that you do when you are building a bunch of apartments and you have a, what's the word, Coke? I'm having a moment on a Tuesday when you have a model, or you dress up an apartment like a showroom, and you know it's all total fakeness and horse hockey. And if you would see a clubhouse at the end of a game versus the beginning of a game, you would laugh because you've got a big staff that cleans it, etc. But no matter what happens, no matter what city you're in, no matter what your payroll is, trust me, you don't get straight yellow bananas. The A's are going to be fine for a year. Next year is going to be Severino's second year of his 3-year deal. The A's are off to a great start, other than getting crushed last night, 18-3, which really ruins your run differential, as the Marlins saw by losing last night and getting crushed by the Mets. But the funny part is that Severino's second year, fine, getting tired of it. Third year, despondent. You're not used to it. You don't want a full season of the inconvenience that exists in Sacramento, and the union didn't have a choice. None. They had to approve, and the players had to approve it. Now you're getting some chirping already. Just know that. The Cubs came into town as visiting team, and they already said, hey, listen, this is not good enough. We should have played this in Oakland. While it smelled like sewer and there was nobody there, it was really cool to stay in San Francisco, and there were major league facilities. Sacramento is a very nice town. You can even go visit the Capitol. You can see some legislation. You can see our democracy in action. But then you go to work where you spend all day and you're saying, this is suboptimal. It's subpar. And wait till they have to do it for a 4th year. No, I know they're doing a whole bunch of stuff. And they've got a Vegas permit ready to go, a building permit. They are fully ready to go to 2028. They're ready to start in a couple of months. They're telling you the construction timeline is under 36 months. And I'm telling you, good luck with that. You better sell a lot of shares at a $2 billion valuation, because you're going to have overruns in Vegas that'll give you night sweats and the shakes. I want to see a drone go over the construction in Vegas the way the drone went over the game in Sacramento. Now I'm distracted, Coca, because I got to tell you a drone story. Side note, can we do a quick drone story? We had an owners meeting when drones, they were just starting. No one really knew what was happening. And a discussion was had about drones and flight paths and being over your stadium and security issues. And I thought that drones were just meant not for spying or not for people who just wanted to watch the game in theory. I actually thought that they were weapons, and that the fear was that drones had like guns attached. And so we were having these breakout meetings, and I said in one of them, I said, I'm sorry to ask this, but do we have the right to shoot down the drone if we feel we're in danger? Because I didn't want our fans, I didn't want another thing to worry about during a home game. And I was told that no, the drones are not that. We will pass a rule that doesn't allow drones. We'll stop the game if we see a drone. We're going to report it. We're going to prosecute it. But don't worry, you're going to be fine. And I just remember all 65 inches of me sort of curling up and saying, sorry, that must have sounded stupid. But to this day, it doesn't. It worries me. All right, that was my drone story. Let's get back to Vegas and just let you know that you better start seeing some major drone footage of construction. And then I'm going to want an explanation as to how they're going to get this built this quickly. And if it doesn't happen, then you're looking at a 4th year walking down the left field line just to get to your home clubhouse 81 times. Total nightmare. When we come back, we're going to take a break. I have a movie to review that I can't wait to talk to you about. And then, God bless you, Jimmy Haslam. I love you, man. Thank you so much for your mea culpa yesterday. Wait till you hear what Jimmy Haslam said after the break. I happen to love Tilda Swinton. I think she's a phenomenal actor, an Academy Award nominated actress. I happen to love a movie called The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. She's done amazing things. I just know that some people can get typecast. She is a phenomenal actress. And when you're looking for someone who's dying, you may want Tilda Swinton because you're going to get a great performance. And there's a movie called The Room Next Door, which is about a woman who's dying, who wants to control her death by committing euthanasia, and then calls on her sort of friend, her fringe friend, Julianne Moore, her old friend, who she hadn't seen in forever, who becomes her new best friend, because Julianne Moore is willing to help her kill herself. The movie The Room Next Door is about two women who are stuck in an unenviable position of trying to figure out what to do. My friend Nick Turturro's brother, John Turturro, the star of my #1 movie, Fearless. John Turturro, you know him from The Big Lebowski. John Turturro, you know him from Severance. He plays a very important part in this film. The performances are first class. Tilda Swinton should have been nominated for an Oscar for this performance as a woman trying to go out on her own terms. Julianne Moore, go back to Boogie Nights and go all the way forward to every role she's ever done, including 9 months, believe it or not, with Hugh Grant, and you will find an actress who has a resume that would make you blush. Put the two of them together, and it was movie magic. It's a very important conversation that I encourage you all to think about. I think about euthanasia all the time. What are my views? Why can't we let people control their own destinies? Why does the government get in the way of that? Why should it be a crime when you are dying of cancer that you control when you go, how you go, and then it's with peace? Hospice does it. I've watched family members get morphine to death because of cancer. This movie will make you think. It's called The Room Next Door. Nothing Personal comes to you every day. We are live at 8 a.m. on the Nothing Personal with David Sampson YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We like when you do that. We like when you watch. You could also watch on the DraftKings Network. We like when you do that too. You could also listen to us. If you're listening to us, you're missing. I actually feel good today. A little tired. I did some eye thing, Coca, to try to get the bags out from under my eyes. The doctor said, try sleeping. I said, yeah, but what products do you have on Amazon that can make it look good that don't involve needles, which I'll never do, or tubes, which I won't do either? Let's talk about Jimmy Haslam. Jimmy Haslam. What do you think about him? Owner of the Browns. I'm not sure we could talk about Jimmy Haslam more than we did, but we're going to. Jimmy Haslam, the guy that's being sued by the city of Cleveland for wanting to move the team out into the burbs with that great release of renderings, the fight and lawsuits that are happening in Cleveland. Jimmy Haslam, the guy who gave Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed. Jimmy Haslam, the guy who said, hey, my wife and my daughter, we talked it through. We came to the conclusion that Deshaun Watson was the exact quarterback who we wanted to pin our future to. This guy is a man's man, totally misunderstood. We love him. We're all comfortable with him. Deshaun Watson has been, wait for it, Coca. This is really quite a statement. I'm going to have to think about this more because I thought about this before the show, and now I'm worried to say it. Of course I'm going to say it. You know I'm going to say it. I believe the Deshaun Watson contract is the worst contract in the history of sports. There, I said it. In the history of sports. I triple dare you to find me another one. I mean, you could talk about Konkak. You can talk about Prince Fielder. You can talk about the second half of Pujols, Cabrera. Bunch of pitching, Patrick Corbin. Ooh, you know who I could talk about? I could talk about the pitcher for the Nationals, Coca, whose name's escaping me, Steven Strasburg. And I would tell you that none of them come close to giving Watson $230 million. In the middle of all of the lawsuits, all of the allegations, all of the ways in which just he is a bad person, and you give him the biggest guarantee ever. Then, Jimmy, you double down. You triple down. You quadruple down. You quintuple down. Hey, this is our guy. We did our homework. We stand by him. Yeah, but I'm sorry, Jimmy. Can we talk about this? Because it's my understanding that he only had played 19 games between 2022 and 2024. It's my understanding that it's been a terrible disaster on the field and off the field. And by the way, he gave up 3 first-rounders. You're all wrong. You don't know the process that we go through at the Haslam family dinner table. You don't realize we took all of that into account, and we still tell you this was the greatest move. And then a knock came on Jimmy's door, and it was someone who represented a new and different public relations firm. Knocked on the door and said, "Hey, Slim Jim, got an idea for you. What would you think about going public to say that the signing of Deshaun Watson was a total disaster? And that the fact is that you're in the middle of a lawsuit in Cleveland. You're trying to get public money. Doesn't it make sense that you may want to change your mind and say, you know what? My bad." Wouldn't you want to think about doing an Adam Silver about the All-Star Game tournament and just say, wow, that's a big miss by me? Wouldn't you want to be one of the people who tests positive for steroids and says, yeah, I took them. I was trying to get better to get back sooner, instead of being the guy who lies? So Jimmy Haslam decides yesterday to listen to his PR people and stop doubling down. He said, we took a big swing and miss with Deshaun. We thought we had the quarterback. We didn't. And we gave up a lot of draft picks to get him. So we've got to dig ourselves out of that hole. And here comes the best part. It was an entire organization decision. And it ends with D and I. By the way, when people do that, they're trying to be sort of smart grammatically. But let me go ahead and teach you how that works. You split it up. It ends with D. It ends with I. No, it ends with D. It ends with me. That's the grammar. So actually, people think, oh, I sound so smart when I say and I. Except sometimes it's supposed to be and me. Like this time. It ends with D and me. So hold us accountable. Really? You just said it was an entire organization decision. Except we all know that Andrew Berry wanted no part of that. We all know there's not one person who wanted this except you. No one in his right mind would have given Deshaun Watson $230 million because no one in his right mind would have given Deshaun Watson $23.00. Now you're going to say, hey, this was everybody, but I'm so good at leading that I'm going to be the shield here. I'll be the guy. Do you find that compelling? Am I missing something? Do you listen to that statement by Jimmy Haslam and say, oh, he has found God. He's found religion. He's seen the light. I look at this and say, he wants more money. I look at this and say, it's obvious what Haslam's doing. He's got advisors now and lawyers who are saying, dude, you don't have a chance to get what you want if you don't change your position. And so he decided today was the day. I wonder why today. And I wonder how it goes during the strategy session with the new PR firm. And I wonder when they say, Jimmy, here's how you're going to do it. Not only are you going to do a mea culpa, but we're going to involve your wife also. Isn't that brilliant? Now, don't bring her in on the call. Let's not even tell her. Let's surprise her with giving her half the blame, because what that'll mean to all of our smart fans and people in the media is that she gets half the credit when things go good. 4869. When things go well. And then Jimmy says, well, wait a minute. When things go well, I'll thank D, but I'm the principal owner. I'm the guy. I want the credit when things are good. When things are bad, let's talk about my wife, but don't mention my daughter. We only mentioned her in the beginning to excuse the signing, but now hands off. Now it's just about D and me. Jimmy, you're funny. You're not as funny as Woody Johnson, though. Woody Johnson's funnier. Boy, we've really done it to Woody, haven't we? We've told you year in and year out, forget the fact that he moved to London and gave his team to his brother in trust. Forget the fact that he signed Aaron Rodgers and then decided to tell you, again, Where's the respect for the fans? That I had nothing to do with getting rid of Aaron Rodgers. Don't be ridiculous. I let my new GM and my new coach do that. Aaron Glenn was totally in charge of that. Do you believe for 1 second that Woody Johnson had nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers disappearing off the Jets? Really? Woody Johnson's at the owners' meetings right now. There's a lot going on at the NFL owners' meetings. They're taking place in Palm Beach at the Breakers. Very nice hotel. And there's going to be reports out of there that we're going to get to talk about this week on Nothing Personal. There may be an 18-game season. There may be the ban of the tush push. There could be some rule changes. On va voir. We shall see. But what I love is when owners feel they have to meet the media at these owners' meetings because the media goes to them. And every time you walk in and out of the room, the owners are asked by media, hey, can we talk about what you just did? And most owners just keep walking or say, hey, nothing, not even off the record. Some owners stop because they have something to say. Woody Johnson had a lot to say. I wonder why. Because the Jets are in the news. The Jets are in the news for several things. One of them is that Woody Johnson himself got an F in that player survey about best owners and best teams and best organizations. So you knew he had to have a talking point about that. And the other thing is that the front office is going through major structural changes that are leading to mass layoffs. So he was advised, let's address that. And he decided to address it in two ways. I have to believe, Coca, I have no independent proof of this. This is not irresponsible journalism. This is responsible speculation based on years of experience. No owner gets in front of a camera or microphone without the attempt of a PR firm to put Q&A in front of the owner, message points, how to bridge from one topic to another. Many owners don't pay attention to it. They don't take the time to get media trained. They don't care. Ego's way too large. You think it's possible that Woody Johnson didn't have an idea that he needed to have an answer on what was going on when they are deciding right now? There is a deadline of today whether 170 out of 250 of your front office employees will be bought out and gotten rid of. Think about this for a minute. Restructurings happen often. We can do a whole show on corporate restructurings. I can do a whole show talking to you about when it's time to move on from employees, how it's not bad to have turnover, how you actually want employees to leave your company and go on to bigger and better things because it means you've got a good coaching tree. It means that they're learning something. It means that they have the ability to excel and move up the ladder. When you offer buyouts to people, you are trying to say that we do not agree or believe in what you've done and in what we've had you do. So we're starting from scratch. And when we start from scratch, we'd like it to not be with you. So we're going to offer you something that normally you wouldn't get. We're going to offer you, let's say, 18 months of severance plus insurance, just as an example. We're going to offer you a package that is so tempting that you're going to take it. We'll pay the package. We'll get to capitalize it. We will show losses. And then we will have a clean slate. Why else would you talk to an employee who's old, who's been there 20 or more years, and they've attained a level of vice president and give them 80 weeks of pay? 80 weeks of pay. That means you can take the buyout, you get paid your current bonus, you get paid your current salary, and then you get paid not to work for 80 weeks. The reason that you wouldn't take it is you'd say to yourself, wow, wait a minute, hold on. I don't know that I can get another job at this rate. Guess what? As a business and a business operator, I don't care if you can't get another job at the rate we're paying you. That means we're overpaying you. 2, I may have aged out of the market. That's true. You've aged out of our market too. The reason why buyouts are offered to employees is because the company has decided that that is not the right employee for them. And it's way easier to agree on a severance package, a separation agreement prior to a termination because you avoid litigation. It's why every time that you're going to terminate somebody, you try to get them to agree to resign or agree to a severance package and agree not to sue in advance. A buyout package is simply a formal way to get severance to people you want to get rid of without calling it a termination. But please don't be confused. It's a straight termination. I'm not exactly sure how many employees of the 170 will take it. My experience with employees is this. If you think that you've got more to give to a company and you don't take the buyout, then don't be deluded into thinking that you're going to be kept anyway. If you don't take the buyout, there's a good chance you're going to be terminated, not today, because that would be retaliation, but you just wait a few weeks, a few months, maybe even a year, then you get rid of it by eliminating the job or claiming non-performance. The advantage always goes to the company. Woody Johnson was careful in meeting the media to say, these are not layoffs. He's lying. Buyout packages are exactly layoffs. Woody Johnson then went on to say, hey, we're offering these buyouts not because we want to fire anyone. We want to improve the culture. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. You know exactly what these buyouts are. They're exactly layoffs. How do you improve the culture by having the same people do the same thing over and over again and thinking this will improve the culture? Believe me, I've been in companies where that's the plan. Let's just keep doing what we're doing and just pray to God, the corporate God, that people will wake up one day and react differently inside the company, that we'll have a healthy culture. We'll do one offsite event. We'll do a little trust tree. We may even go to Bed Bath & Beyond, and then everything's going to be fine. Nobody really thinks that. We may try it, but we sure as heck don't believe it. Nothing personal pick of the day. Can we talk about the Braves, please? We started the show talking about Profar. We talked about what happened with him and his 80-game suspension. We talked about how unfortunate it is for the Braves to take a 0-4 sweep at San Diego and then have to do the old San Diego-LA trip. That's a very common trip that teams do from the East Coast. You get out there, you do San Diego, get on the bus, do LA, or do it the other way around, get them out of the way. You visit them once a year. A note to all teams. Try not to go into Chavez Ravine this year on a losing streak. It's a very bad idea because the Dodgers are not going to lose too often. We had the Dodgers as our pick of the day, and you may have thought that seems crazy, but I told you that they're going to go to 6-0. I told you the Braves are going to go to 0-5. We're now 27-37. Reminder, Chavez Ravine is not for slump busting. Tonight's game is interesting. Corbin Burnes is pitching for the Diamondbacks. You remember Corbin Burnes. And he's going against the Yankees. So much talk here about torpedo bats, the Yankees scoring all those runs against the Brewers. And wouldn't you know it, the Brewers play a team other than the Yankees and give up a whole other bunch of runs to the Royals and home runs. I wonder whether it's about the Brewers pitching staff. I wonder whether the Yankees think that they're going to score 20 runs a game or hit 4 home runs every game. You're facing Corbin Burnes, who's only -102. Hard to imagine you'll get a better value with Corbin Burnes throughout the season, so we're going to take him. And then we're going to do a second game as I try to win 2 games to try to climb back out of my hole. And we're going to take those Miami Marlins. Yes, those Miami Marlins who were in first place of the NL East until Philly took over. Those Miami Marlins who had 3 walk-off wins over the lowly Pirates. But are you telling me that Sandy Alcantara is +136 against the New York Mets? It can't be. Sandy Alcantara is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now, could Sandy go 4 innings, have too many pitches? The Marlins bullpen blows it. Lindor somehow gets hot out of nowhere this early in April. Soto continues to get on base, and the Mets crush the Marlins again like they did last night. Yeah, but I'm willing to take that chance because I'm getting +136. Now, you'll say to me, David, you said No matter what odds are, if you lose, there's no value there. But in baseball, when you have a matchup like this with Alcantara against Senga and you are a plus 136, you're going to take that chance. That's not like betting on the Dodgers to lose 100 games because you get plus $1 million. That's bad for business. But the opportunity to get the Marlins plus 136 with Sandy and the Diamondbacks minus 102 with Corbin, of course we're doing that as our nothing personal pick of the day. Why? Because it's just business. We'll be back tomorrow to see if we were right. This is nothing personal.